Okay, we're just getting the sound levels sorted out. So it's looking good so far. Okay. Let's get in and get this aeroplane up and running. So before we do anything, let's turn the line off on the chart. Oh, that turns off the VORs, that's a shame. Okay. Turn the chock, get rid of the chocks and the tie downs. We can leave everything else as it is. Get rid of the tablet out of the way. Lights, pitot heat. Turn the DME on. We're going to turn the GPS on, but we're not actually going to use it. And that's on con 1, that's good. Turn on the transponder, although we're not actually going to use it. Okay, fuel is off, so we'll turn it to the left tank. We will mixture full rich. We will prop RPM to full. And let's turn the engine over. Let's do that again. Give it some throttle this time. So we're sat here on the parking brake. Jamie Hartman says hi in the live chat. Hi Jamie. So we're just letting this warm up a little bit before we get going. And we'll get the first radio beacon of the day tuned in. So we're taking off from San Luis County Regional. We're going to fly over to the Fellows VOR 117.50. So let's get that tuned in on 117.50. So we can see immediately on the Omni bearing indicator what bearing to go to fly to the VOR station, because it's alive already. There we go. Okay. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Fred Shrieker says, Shricks, sorry, says good morning. Jamie says it's nearly 1 AM here in California. I know. I've advanced the time to make it daylight. So I've got your live weather, but I've changed the time. So this is actually a group flight that I'm going to be doing on Sunday evening in GMT, so lunchtime I guess in California. So on Sunday this will be a group flight. see out the windows very easily in this, but it doesn't matter. Now, should we just check which way the wind is? 6 knots, so we need to go down to this end and turn around. There's nobody else around, so not a problem. Go and calibrate the altimeter while we're at it, calibrate the compass while we're at it as well. Okay, we're on our way. And rotate. And gear up. And flaps up. And engine back to cruise. The elevators, and let's just start looking at the direction. We need to do a right turn then towards the direction we need to be going. It's 39 miles to go, 40 miles to the first VOR. So as I say, this is actually the route of a group flight we're going to be doing tomorrow night with Virtual Flight Online. So I could actually go and run transmitter as well, which will broadcast our position to anybody else that's using transmitter and that's on that map. Okay. So we can, if we want to, switch to autopilot at this point. And let's get it to follow that VOR for us. So we'll just manage the vertical speed along the way. Climb up to about 5,000 feet. Should be good for most of the journey. Trim out for about 1,000 feet a minute in the climb out. Your comrade says hi. The long shadows of the early morning sun across the California coast. We've just taken off from San Luis Regional and we're heading down to Santa Barbara for our first stop, but we're going via VOR stations along the way, so if you have a look at the flight plan. We've just taken off from San Luis County Regional, we're going to the Fellows VOR, then down south over the hills to Santa Barbara. And we climb back out to Santa Barbara after doing a touch and go and follow the path down to Santa Monica. We're just climbing out 1,000 feet a minute. Have the amazing California hills to enjoy along the way in the early morning sunshine. Quite a lot of morning mist by the look of it. Just coming up to 5,000 feet, so we'll start trimming out. 32 miles to go to the VOR. So while we're doing that, let's spin the heading bug round to the direction we're going, because we will switch over to heading mode while we change frequencies later. So we've just gone through 5,000 feet. Let's just level out. Keep it on the airspeed. I don't really want to overspeed, but we want to try and do this quite quickly, this route. So pull the engines back a little bit. It's looking pretty good. So trim down, level flight. See, the autopilot on the Turbo Arrow only manages your heading, it doesn't manage altitude. Quite an old aeroplane, it dates from the mid-70s, or the later versions date from the mid-70s, I should say. The earliest versions of the PA-28 are from the I think it was designed in the late 50s, mostly produced in the 60s, but then there was a wing design change. The early versions have a rectangular wing and the later ones have the tapered wing. So I think the whole family are called the Cherokee, but then within that family there's the Arrow, the Turbo Arrow, the Warrior, and there's a couple of others. I think one of the Turbo Arrows has a different tail configuration, that's a T-tail. So there were like different versions of the Turbo Arrow within. There's like a version 3 and a version 4, I think, that are simulated in Flight Simulator. This is the version 3 Turbo Arrow. It's gorgeous scenery, isn't it, this part of the world? Have a look from outside. I'm sipping coffee while we're doing this. It's just coming up for 9 o'clock in the morning in the UK. As I said, this is going to be the basis for a group flight, but with I founded an online group called virtualflight.online, and we fly twice a week typically. So the midweek flight is with the big jets, flying a route somewhere around the world for about an hour and a half journey somewhere or other. And we just chat along the way on a Discord server. And then on a Sunday evening, UK time, so lunchtime in the US, we do a GA flight somewhere in the world. But we generally aim for about an hour and a half or 150 miles, cruising at 120 knots ish. And we get anywhere from sort of 40 to 60 people taking part. And again, just a relaxed open voice channel, and everyone gets to talk about Flight Simulator and what airplanes they've been flying that week, and anything about aviation. We get several real world pilots who are usually quite happy to field questions for anybody about how things really work, or procedures, or that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's good fun. Okay, let's just go and check the aeroplane's looking good. We're still on track. We have got 20 miles to go to the VOR, so we're not too far away now. Let's have a look on the map and see where we are. So on this first leg over to the VOR at Fellows. So we've just taken off from San Luis, or St. Louis. I guess the Americans would call it, the Spanish would call it San Luis. and then we turn south once we get to the VOR, then towards the San Marcos VOR, and then from there we follow our own navigation over the hill to Santa Barbara Municipal. Hopefully the weather on the coast is going to be clear. You never can tell with California. We can actually go and check the METAR from Santa Barbara along the way. So if we right click on Santa Barbara and show information, we can see we've got wind is from 80 degrees 4 knots and it's clear. Excellent. So we'll get good visibility of the runway. Yesterday evening I was messing around this part of the coast preparing for the flight, doing some recon, and it was broken cloud everywhere. Broken low cloud, which made it kind of interesting. There's nothing like this. I didn't actually check the fuel before we took off. We got loads. We've got 20 gallons on each side maybe. So yeah, this is the JustFlight PA-28, and you can buy them in a pack at the moment with several models of the aircraft. So this is the Turbo Arrow, which gives you a bit faster performance, a bit better climb performance. And they are absolutely wonderfully modelled. I mean, all the doors and everything work correctly. I think we can pan through the wall. Yes, we can, so we can have a good look at it. So the quality of the modelling on it is absolutely fantastic. Obviously we're not seeing a pilot because I'm using the internal view to do this. It looks cool, doesn't it? And it handles wonderfully. I've heard from several real-world pilots that these PA-28s that JustFlight have made are very, very close in behaviour to the real things. They said it's like amongst the best aircraft in the game for being realistic. Jump back into the pilot seat. Yes, I'll have a link into the live chat. I'm just looking at. I'm going to horrendously mispronounce your name. Mizuwarikan, is that correct? And the live chat has asked if I can put a link in. So, yeah, I'll put the message in. This is a test of a group flight we will be doing with virtualflights.online. If you visit virtualflight.online, you will see the link to join the Discord server. Yeah, we're trying to build out Virtual Flight Online to build a community basically. So the group flights are really only one of the things we do. Within the Discord server we've got channels for all kinds of things. And just last night, for example, there were 2 entire different groups of people flying together, just sat hanging out in the chat rooms and passing the time of day while, you know, some of them were doing their big jet flights on VATSIM and were using it as a social channel while they were on VATSIM, and other people were just doing a GA flight and were hanging out together while they were doing that. You know, and they were actually on different flights to each other and still, you know, just hanging out in the chat rooms. And we try to keep it sensible. If any of you have been in the Microsoft official Discord server, it's absolute mayhem. So we've only had to ban very few people so far, but we won't allow anybody to go on the voice channels or to post anything that's derogatory in any way or offensive to anybody. So, you know, dirty jokes, anything like that, it gets you kicked basically instantly. Or, you know, any talk about drugs or sexism or racism, it gets you an instant ban. So we want to keep it about flight sim and people that, you know, are interested in the aeroplanes. One of the things we've done with Virtual Flight is I wrote a small program called Transmitter that you can see I'm running here. So if I open this out, you can see what this is doing is broadcasting to a database on the internet our latitude, longitude, altitude, heading and so on. Then if we go and look on the map, you can see every few seconds there's a red aeroplane appearing. That's my broadcast position from that little program. And that works for anybody in the world that's running the program. So if I was to go and open a browser and go to Virtual Flight Online and go to Who is Online, you can see little red aeroplanes. There's not many on at the moment. As it goes through the day, you'll get more and more people, but you can go and click on them and see who they are and see where they're going. But the real benefit of Transmitter isn't the online map. It's it's Little Nav Map. So if you're on a group flight, you can see everybody that's running it. So if you're all running it on a group flight, you'll see a little cluster of red aeroplanes along the route, which is really handy. Okay, we're coming up to the VOR, so we're going to switch the autopilot over to heading mode now. And we're going to keep an eye on that hill. We're going to change now to 114.90. So 114.90. And there we go. So we now need to turn right to, is it about 150 degrees maybe? More like 160 degrees. So let's turn our heading bug to turn the aircraft on the autopilot automatically. Let's keep an eye while it's doing it on the vertical speed. We are going to lose height because it's not the cleverest autopilot, it doesn't control pitch. Okay, let's switch this back to VOR mode, or nav mode I should say, and trim the airplane back out. So we are going to need to climb to get, this is the ridge line in front of Santa Barbara. So this line of hills we need to get over the top of, so I'm going to start climbing now. There we go, so about 750 feet a minute will be fine. Anything above 500 to be honest. Just to get us over the ridgeline by the time we get there. Okay. There's a fair amount of turbulence with the hills. You can see the airplane bobbling around a little bit. Just rejoining the track, nothing to worry about. How are we doing on vertical speed? So it's leveled out. That's because it dipped the wing. It's quite sensitive to lift when you bank. Very clear this morning. Very, very clear. So yeah, Virtual Flight Online, there's a Facebook group as well, because some people like Facebook, some people don't. We use Discord primarily for the voice chat, but we've got lots of other resources in Discord as well. So, you know, lists of add-ons and things for the flight simulator. Content creators, we've got like a directory of all the really good YouTubers and podcasts, books, that kind of thing. So we really use it as like a community resource really. And then obviously there's general chat channels, so, and the support channels, so if anyone's got a problem with their sim they can pitch in, and usually somebody will appear and give some handy tips from their own knowledge of what might help solve their problems. Okay, let's have a look at these hills. So we're going to be crossing over the top of these hills. The main ridge we need to clear is the one just before Santa Barbara, which is quite a bit higher. So we're going to keep gently climbing all the way if we can. Yeah, you can see it out in front of us over here. So Santa Barbara is just the other side of that far ridge. So I'm going to keep us climbing. So what's the name of the places we're... Yeah, it's quite barren out here, isn't it? As we get closer to California, sorry, to Los Angeles, obviously it gets a lot busier. This part of the coast is actually quite barren and picturesque. So anybody watching this wondering why I'm not putting music on in the background today, I had a run-in with the guys that make the lo-fi stream on YouTube. So they advertise it all over the place as being completely safe to use for the background for your videos. And then I got a copyright strike using their music. So I am never using background music ever again, because it's just not worth the hassle. Musicians on YouTube are their own worst enemy. They release music for general use, and then they change their mind, and then thousands of videos get taken down and have it in the background. The engine sounds as music. When I was young, my dad had a sailing boat, and if there wasn't any wind around, it had an engine, and my bunk was alongside the engine bay. And ever since, if I get that kind of repetitive engine noise, it makes me really sleepy. Yeah, I used to sleep for hours when I was on the boat just because of the engine noise. Okay, let's wind the mixture back. Did you hear the engine pick up then? Because we're at altitude now. Just start to lean the engine out. Yeah, I'm not using the real time, just reading the live stream. EWC 1976 is saying, yes, I'm not using actual time. No. It's live weather, but I've advanced the time about 5 hours, so it's 7 in the morning. Actually, is there a clock in this cockpit? I don't think there is there? No, doesn't look like it. So what do we have in the Turbo Arrow cockpit? We have the gyro suction from the engine, you have the airspeed, you have attitude indicator, altimeter, VOR radio, that's nav 1 and nav 2. We have a compass with a CDI on it. That's interesting, are those? Yeah, those are synchronized then, so they're not independent instruments. So when you use the omni-bearing selector on this nav instrument, it affects this one as well. That's interesting. So I'm hoping if we carry on, I'm going to pitch up just a little bit, we're looking a bit close to this ridge line. Because as soon as we get over the ridge, we're going to descend into the runway at Santa Barbara. See this happening on the map. Actually no, we've got a little way to go yet. I think looking on the elevation plot on Little Nav Map though, this is the highest point we're just crossing, and then we can start descending. when we start descending we will cut the engine. Let's have a look from outside. Sim has just frozen. I wonder why. Give it a few seconds. I'm pretty sure, but again it's all circumstantial, but I think the sim freezing is either the multiplayer servers acting up or the USB controller on particular motherboards. Because quite often in a flight I will see the flap levers and things recycle in about 1/10 of a second. They'll all move and then go back to where they were, and it usually coincides with a freeze in the simulator. Now I've turned off power management on every USB device in the machine, all the controllers, everything, so it's not the power management that's doing it. It's very, very odd. Okay, so let's start descending now. We just need to clear this ridge. So we've got 10 miles to go until we get to the VOR. So we'll come down at 1,000 feet a minute. I'm going to come off the speed slightly. So throttle's been pulled back so we don't accelerate too much. I'm just trimming the pitch so we don't decelerate, or sorry, descend too fast. There we go, that's about right, he says as it starts to. It's almost like a photograph sometimes, doesn't it? Very, very good. So you will see the airfield is over here on the coast. So we travel southeast for about 6 miles once we get to the VOR. 5 miles to go to the VOR, so about 11 miles to the airfield then. So we're going to do a touch and go at Santa Barbara, and then we'll climb back out and carry on the rest of our way. When we do the group flight, we put an airfield in the middle of the route usually to give everybody a 5 or 10 minute break to go make a coffee or whatever they want to do, comfort break. And then once everybody's back, everyone takes off and we all orbit the airfield together before we set off again. So, you know, once everyone's in the air, we all set off together. And we also try to stay together on the group flights. So if anybody gets massively ahead, you know, get them to fly an orbit and come back in at the back of the group. Because obviously people have different aircraft with different speeds. So, you know, we don't want to stop people from having a faster aeroplane, but if you go shooting off 10 miles or 20 miles off the front of the group. That's not really a group anymore, is it? Okay, so let's come off the autopilot. And fly into Santa Barbara. So if we just turn southwest for a few miles, we'll leave this VOR tuned in because we'll use it to navigate back out when we leave Santa Barbara. We'll come out back to this VOR before navigating on further down the coast. So again, yeah, on the full group flight, this will be a full stop here for 5 or 10 minutes. We're just going to do a touch and go. So let's see where the wind is. So the wind is from the north at 6 or 7 knots, so it's coming onto the coast basically, which is pretty typical for California. Let's just check wind at the ground level, show information for Santa Barbara. We've got 080 degrees, 4 knots. So okay, the wind is coming from the east at ground level, 4 knots. So we'll do a left circuit into the runway here. Why are the runways not showing up? Oh, okay. We'll do a left circuit into runway 07. Don't worry about the buzzer, that's just it complaining that I've reduced the throttle too much without the gear down. The Arrow does that. Oh, here comes the METAR from the airfield. So if you ever wondered why that happens in Flight Simulator, there's a global weather system and then there's local weather. So when you are within range of a few miles of an airfield, the local weather takes over. Okay, so that's the runway we're going to be landing on in a moment. So we're just losing some speed, hopefully. So let's just level out. You'll see the speed drop off once we're level. So then to about 1,500 feet, which is perfect. And the speed is coming off. Get in. Flaps down. A little bit high. So we're going to side slip slightly. Just to bring us down quickly. Better. Center the view up. throttle. Whoa, twitchy. Okay, I've never actually landed this aircraft before, so that's interesting how twitchy that was on the undercarriage. You'll probably need some damping on the axes maybe. Undercarriage back up. Flaps back up. I'm just not used to an aircraft that's that powerful. That was nuts. Cruise. Okay, so we're going to fly straight back out to the same VOR we left from. So let's spin this around. Oh, wrong one. I want to go to the VOR. Okay. Climbing the whole time. Direct north basically. So let's go and line up the heading bug while we're at it. And we'll get the autopilot back on, flying the VOR. Steady rate of climb to get over the top of this ridge, so about 1500 feet a minute should be good. I think even 1000 feet a minute will be fine actually. But the outer marker is lighting up. Lee Rose says, morning John. Hi Lee, I'm just doing a test of the Sunday night flight. It's a really good flight actually. We're in the VORs along the California coast. Well, you can see it's absolutely spectacular scenery. I just need to focus on this hill that's right in front of me. Yeah, I was using far too much rudder because I haven't got rudder pedals. I've only got a twist stick throttle, so twist stick. So that's the reason for that. Okay, so we're just going to skim the top of this hill. There's some massive turbulence here. Okay, so we're over the top of the VOR. Oh, I just need to take a phone call. I'm going to silence. Okay, I'm back. So we need to tune into the next VOR station. Why do things always happen right when you don't need them to? 112.50. So it's completely thrown me. 112.50. So then we turn the Omni bearing selector to the next waypoint. We could get back onto the track we want actually, so we want to be flying the 87-degree radial. So let's line that up here. So that would be 90, that's probably about 87. Or maybe there. So then we'll let the autopilot take care of getting us back onto the correct track. Start trimming. So let's have a look at the elevation plot on Little Nav Map. So 5,000 feet is enough actually to clear everything. So we're already at 5.5, just coming up. So I'll start trimming the aircraft out to get to fly at 5,500. It should be fine. Just keep an eye on it for a few moments as it accelerates. Going a little bit fast, so I'm just going to trim it back. Or pull the throttle back, I should say. There we go. So we're now flying down to, just watching the trim again, watching the vertical speed. We're now on our way down to Los Angeles, basically. Back onto the track. Let's just have a look at that trim because that's going to affect the vertical speed with it pitching the wing over. It should be good to miss the hills. Doesn't like going this fast. I'm going to come off the throttle a little bit. Let's pull it back to 50% throttle. So BWC 1976 is saying, always love the look of the PA-28. It's better than the Cessna singles. The low wing makes it look more professional or business-like. It's interesting though, I did a bit of reading. There was this change to the wing design. The earlier PA-28s had a rectangular wing. They didn't have a tapered wingtip, and there's apparently been a debate for years. The original designers didn't like this tapered wing, but apparently it improves certain aspects of its performance, but it does make it more susceptible to spinning. There you go. So at the moment we are flying the 87-degree track between the VOR stations. And then we pass down over the top of Simi Valley, so we'll start to see out towards Glendale and the beginning of Los Angeles out in the distance. And then we pass over the hills into Santa Monica, so it should be good fun. When we do this as a group flight, I imagine we'll fly around Los Angeles and go be nosy. Oh hello, Lee is getting messages removed by Nightbot. Why is that? I might intervene here. Oh, it's because you're using the word damn. Yeah, if you hear any sort of obscenity as a robot watching the live chat, any sort of word like damn or anything will get the message removed. Bizarrely though, the emoticons are doing it as well. Interesting. Or emojis, sorry. Emojis, I'll have to go and have a look at the configuration. So I think too many emojis trips off the robot as well. Because we had nightmares. I had like 250 porn adverts appeared in one live flight. So yeah, we're getting too low. I'm going to climb back out. So yeah, the robot is busy removing messages. If you use too many emojis, or you use any kind of any word that can be construed as slang for, unfortunately I've had to do it because I was absolutely swamped with porn spammers. Okay, so we have 28 miles to run. I'm going to open the engines back up. Let's level out. Should be good at 5,000 feet to clear the hills. Just watching the vertical speed. Of course, it's a balancing game because as I lower the nose, oh yeah, just reading live chat, the spammers are robots, there's no question about that. It tends to be, if a live stream has been on for a couple of hours, they arrive. There's porn spam robots, it seems to be about 2 hours in, and they just absolutely deluge the live chat with adverts for porn sites. And there's nothing that Google can do about it, or YouTube can do about it, because they make new accounts as fast as they're deleted. Yeah, it's a shame though, because it means that you get, as happened to Lee just now, you get messages that are absolutely fine that the robot gets rid of because they look, to a robot they look suspicious. Back up to 5,500. Let's try and trim this so it doesn't keep climbing. We're right against the speed limiter. I'm kind of aware of that. I'm trying to get the flight finished. I've just had a phone call from my daughter. She's doing a stall in the park, and they will need some pegs. I asked them before they left, do you need some pegs to help, pin things up on your stall? No, we've got enough. And now they've phoned, can you bring some pegs? Oh, there's AI and there's AI, just reading the live chat. The robot I'm using to defeat the spam is a sledgehammer, basically. I could tune it down, make it less strict, but I got so fed up during a live stream. I was spending basically 3/4 of my time removing messages and banning people, and then within minutes they were reappearing with slightly different email addresses. So I've introduced, there's a robot watching everything that's posted in the live chat called Nightbot. It's a free service on the internet, and you can tune it with levels of severity of what it would get rid of. And I think I might have said anything with an emoji in it, get rid of it. Anything that has XYZ in it gets you an instant takedown of the message. Anything with XXX in it, and there's you can have a banned list of terms. Okay, so we have about 16 miles to go. It's very easy for people to say Google should be able to do this and Google should be able to do that. The scale Google are working at and the number of problems they have with dealing with people is an absolute nightmare. You have to remember, Google is real people trying their best to make services to solve problems. And as fast as they can, it's like a whack-a-mole game. As fast as they try and close one loophole, so they have to be very pragmatic and very sensible about what they attempt to do automatically. And yeah, live chat could be better, but it's very, very easy to kind of point your finger at the man and say, why haven't you done a magic trick for us? The only reason I kind of have this viewpoint on it is because I'm a software developer in the real world, so I'm very sympathetic to the problem Google face. We have an aeroplane alongside us. Now if I was to have a look on transmitter, no, it's not somebody using transmitter. I'm just wondering though if it's someone that's watching the stream. It is a Kodiak, or is it a caravan? I think it might be a caravan actually. Very cool. No, I think it's a Kodiak. Okay, 9 miles to go until the VOR. So let's go and look at, we've got a final VOR that takes us straight to Santa Monica Municipal. Let's just go and get rid of the that's ATIS from one of the airfields we're hearing. Let's go and detune the comm radio. That shut that up, didn't it? So we're going to tune to 110.80. So we're going to switch this back onto heading mode. So we'll make sure the heading bug is going the same direction we are. We'll switch the autopilot back to heading mode, and then we can focus on changing the nav radio without changing our heading. 11080. Okay, 11080, and DME should come alive. There we go. 35 miles to run, and we need to change the Omni bearing selector on nav 1. There we go, there's our heading to follow, so we're going to change headings immediately. And actually, to make it look nice on the plan, let's say we want the 119 degree radial. So we want to actually go about there. Then if we change this to nav mode, the airplane should crab left automatically, and it's going to do that, which is perfect. That means we can do some sightseeing along the way. Let's just keep an eye on the vertical speed, because obviously as we bank it affects the vertical speed quite drastically, and we're overspeeding. I am trying to get this done quite quickly though, because as soon as I land I need to shoot off and take these pegs into town. Just reading live stream. I don't know if you see how much brain power they have in their staff. If anyone, they should be able to pull this off. There's no solution to let real people supervise this mess. Oh no, I wasn't suggesting that real people were trying to control the spam. I was suggesting that they're building the tools. But how far do you go with automation? It's, in a way, the tools Google are having to build all the time are to save people from themselves. The biggest problem with IT systems is typically the people that use them. I'm working on a system at the moment. I can't really talk much about it because it's under non-disclosure, but I'm working on a system at the moment, and perhaps 4/5 of the effort with it is to deal with what people might do wrong. And it's turned it from what might normally take a few weeks, it's turned it into 6 months of building something that everyone can use, that nobody won't be able to use, that kind of is simplified to the nth degree, and it will be a public service on the internet, but that's all I can really say about it. But yeah, probably 4/5 of the effort of building it is to make sure that if people understand how it works, and it's only a simple service, and if they use it massively incorrectly, it won't cause anything untoward to happen. So again, all of the effort is to prevent people from becoming their own worst enemy. Had it happened with Flight Simulator the last few weeks. There's a group of guys I go flying with quite regularly, and one of them has a, how do we call it, a predilection for trying to configure Microsoft Flight Simulator to work in the same way that P3D or FSX worked in the past. And every time he attempts to do it, he breaks the simulator. And so you help him put it right, and then a few weeks later he's completely busted again, and he's been at it again. And it's like, why not just use the software the way it's designed? But people are people, you know, and the software gives you flexibility. And the same way with the internet. The internet is essentially a decentralized system, so it's always going to be a problem. So William's asking what we're talking about. Oh, we were talking about the spam in the live stream chat, and Google, and I'm having to employ a robot to defeat it. And someone was asking why Google can't just solve that, but it's actually a really difficult problem to solve, because you're trying to build a robot to fight against people being people, and it's a really, really tough one to do. It's not as easy as people think. Okay, so if we go and look at the VOR radio, we've got 22 miles to run down to Santa Monica, and then we'll be landing. We're going absolutely flat out across the hilltops, because I need to leave as soon as I've landed and run into town with a bag full of pegs for my kids. The errands I get, I don't know. So we're in the PA-28 if you've just joined the stream. The Turbo Arrow. This is a Turbo Arrow Mark III. Yeah, just seeing the comment about user error. It's a difficult one. I'll see you on Sunday night, Lee. Yeah, thanks for not running away and complaining that your messages got removed. It was the robot. I'm ever so sorry about that. So yeah, warning to everybody: if you put emojis in messages, it will probably get your message taken down by the robot that's policing the live chat. I'll have to go and check the rules on it later today. Okay, so we're climbing over the hills, and we're not very far away now. One more range of hills. Need to be a little bit careful about altitude, but not too much. So Santa Monica's right down on the sea. It's quite easy to get to. It's interesting that scenery is popping in. You'd expect it to draw that at that range. Hello. I'm bouncing. The irate phone calls have started. They actually want me to pick up even more things now, saying, have you left the house yet? No, I haven't. Oh, can you pick this, and this up? So, yeah. Okay, how many miles left do we have to run? 15 miles to go. Comes the fog. So I'm going to stay flying level for a few minutes. Because I don't really want to descend into that and hit a hillside. 13 miles to run. This is going to be fun. We may have to actually we can see through the cloud. It's not that bad. A bit misty, he says as we walk into a complete whiteout. Oh dear. We had such wonderful weather and it's all about to come to an end. So we'll get over the ocean because I know it's fairly flat coming into, yeah, we'll get past this next range of hills. We get over the ocean and then we'll descend. We may get a break in the cloud to see the airfield. It's just ever so slightly dangerous. We're descending the whole time, but we need to stop descending. We need to clear this ridge line ahead of us, which we can just see in the cloud. Well, this weather arrived in time to make it exciting, didn't it? Just levelling us out. I don't fancy ploughing into the hillside. Okay, looks like we have a rainstorm over our destination, maybe. Or maybe it is just cloud. So let's come off the autopilot, cut the engine back and begin descending out towards the sea and see if we can see below the cloud. Otherwise this might be quite a difficult approach. Can we see anything out here? Looking for gaps in the clouds. Can we see Santa Monica? We may have to divert if we can't see it. We might be lucky. I think we might be able to go just underneath. Have a look on the map. just coming up to the airfield. Extremely low. There's the airfield. Hooray! And you can see LA out in the distance. Okay. Let's try and get rid of some of this speed, shall we? So what I'm going to do is turn right and do an orbit to lose the speed. Santa Monica Airport. Let's just make sure which way the wind is. Oh crikey, that's a crossway. Oh, it's only 1 knot. We don't need to worry. Actually, let's fly the circuit then, seeing it's only 1 knot wind. It gives us plenty of time to lose speed then. Stay below the cloud base. It's a very, very low circuit, but oh well, we can't win them all. Okay, gear down. First stage of flaps. Bit of a Spitfire approach, but should be good. Is it me, or does the Piper Arrow have no suspension? It would be very solid on the ground. So I'm going to go across the grass. Okay, we're down. It's going to be the fastest shutdown in history. Because I need to go. I'm going to leave all the switches on everywhere. I guess I could be good, couldn't I, and go and turn all the avionics off, then it all backwards order, but who cares? It's not the end of the world. Whoops. So there we go. That was a flight that will be a group flight in the coming weeks. Or sorry, on Sunday evening actually, with Virtual Flight Online. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And I'll hopefully see you again soon. And we've got horrendous weather here at Santa Monica. Okay, I will see you all soon. That's the end of the live stream. I have to shoot off, so I'll see you later.